a Sapphire Running Zone podcast.
Hi everyone, Tim from the Sapphire Running Zone here, and we've got another of our Runner Stories podcast today. And we're with Matt from the charity Scoliosis Support and Research, and Matt's another of our London Marathon runners, and he's had a day to remember. Welcome back, Matt, for episode 3. Just give us a quick 30 seconds on what it was like.
It was an incredible experience, one that I'll never forget. The heat, took me by surprise, really. I had to revert to plan B quite early on because of that. But it was a great day. It was a great weekend all in. I maybe didn't get the time I wanted, but I'm not going to dwell on that really, because it's not just me that happened to. I can follow a few of the championship runners and that on Instagram, and there's loads of them that were saying they had to revert to plan B and slow it down and whatnot. So, yeah, I can't really be disappointed or beat myself up because of the conditions. But, yeah, it was a fantastic event. And, people have always said about the crowds being amazing, but, it was just unreal.
I talked to one of the guys yesterday about this, and obviously you've got a record field and unbelievable weather, which meant that it was a perfect day for spectating. So I think a lot of neutrals came out to support the runners, as well as those extra runners, friends and family in the crowd as well. So you certainly had a huge amount of people there supporting you. So let's just rewind a little bit and just go back over your training. What would you say were the sort of highs and lows of the last 4 or 6 months?
So I think my training almost went too well. I had no injuries, no niggles. It was only up until the taper, really. The taper, I felt a bit rubbish, but yeah, okay, everybody does. But yeah, my training, it just went too well. Every time I was going out, I was getting PBs. I was kind of felt unstoppable. So yeah, I did love the training, to be honest. My training plan was 22 weeks, and so obviously big commitment. But I've loved every second of the training and structure. You could see it was working every week. So yeah, I kind of felt unstoppable. And obviously, marathon day, the conditions were a bit hotter than I'd have liked. I found out in training I don't always go that well in the heat. I don't know if that's just my body or what. But, so I kind of knew once I'd seen the forecast for Sunday, and maybe I got in my head a little bit. I wasn't nervous until I was travelling down, and then I was nervous. So yeah, maybe I got in my head a bit. But yeah, the training side, it was fantastic, that was.
Yeah, and obviously your job is about structure, isn't it, and following a plan. And you talked about this before, about that, this was right up your street, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, got the training plan. It tells me to do something and I do it, just like a robot.
Yeah. So what did you do? When did you go to the Expo, and what was that last 3 or 4 days like?
So I didn't actually go to the Expo. By chance, because I live in Derby, so I'm up in the Midlands, so obviously it's a bit of a mission for me to go any earlier than the Saturday down to London. But by chance, one of my friends had been on holiday, and who was running as well, and he flew into London. He flew back on the Wednesday, so he went and got my ticket for me. So I travelled down to London on the Saturday, and I was part of the new Team Green initiative, which is where you could drop a bag at the finish line on the Saturday. So we did that, but we tried not to, but we ended up with 20,000 steps Saturday, and was doing everything not to walk. But even like when you get in the tube, some of these stations are that big that by the time you've got down the stairs and to your platform, you've done a couple of thousand steps or something. So maybe it wasn't the best prep on the Saturday, but we had a great day, don't get me wrong. Went to the finish line, we dropped our bag off, and had like the kiddies marathon was going on. That was really nice to see all the kids, they were loving it. Then what else did we do Saturday? Went out for dinner, and I had pasta, because there were 5 of us running it, 5 of my friends in total, and there was also like partners down and whatnot, and the mate had his kid down. It was a nice little group, and we had a laugh. It was hard work going to bed early though. I think I checked into my hotel at about 7 p.m. and my hotel was in Soho, so I'm right in the middle of it, and it was absolutely buzzing outside. There's people everywhere, and everyone's having a drink and a laugh, and I think it was 7 p.m. I went in and watched Britain's Got Talent and went to bed.
Just remind everybody what you need to do to enable another runner to collect your number.
Okay, so so my friend Josh, he needed my ID, his ID. He needed my QR code and my confirmation email. So he said it was really smooth, to be fair. And yeah, so I sent him all that. He took it, and he just got my number and everything straight away. No issues.
So did you have to provide a letter of confirmation?
Yeah. So on the email, I just tagged on like I give permission for Josh to pick my bag up for me and whatnot.
Okay,
But yeah, there was no issues with that. It was pretty smooth, to be fair.
good. And race morning then, tell us what time you got up, what time you left, what was and also your start wave.
Okay, so my body clock is, how should we say, from we've got a 5-week-old and a 17-month old children, 2 lads. So at the moment my body clock's screwed. So I was up before 6. My alarm was on for 6:30, but I was up before 6. What did I do? Got everything ready. Double check, triple check. Started thinking, what have I got? This, have I got that? And then went upstairs, had a coffee at the hotel, ate my porridge, and then started to head over. So I think I was aiming to get there for about 9, but the train was absolutely packed. So I'm glad I left a bit early. I was green, team green, wave 2. So my start was 10:17 to 10:21, and I probably arrived at 9ish. So quite a while waiting around. You could feel the heat building then. Actually, it was a long wait in the sun.
And you didn't have a bag to worry about, of course, because you'd already dropped yours off the day before.
Yeah, all I had was like the waistbands, the gels. I bought the sun cream, and just like a bottle of water. I did have me I bought like a tracksuit, to keep you warm, but I mean, I had to take it off on the train because it was that hot when people got on. So I gave that to, I think it's Salvation Army that was collecting for charity, like your spare clothes. Yeah, so I didn't have to take the bag or anything.
Right. Okay. So what was that first half like? Talk through the highlights of the up to Tower Bridge, landmarks you remember.
First half was, I'm not going to say it was a breeze, but I was going well. We got to the start line, and as soon as they set our wave off, I sprinted to try. I wanted to go on TV, so I sprinted to go over the start line on my own. And then obviously the guy on the mic's like, Matt's running, he sprinted off and all this stuff. And then I'm motoring down the road and I'm thinking, I can't do this. I've got to slow down. And then you went past a church and there was like gospel singers and it was just buzzing. And then I managed to slow down and just settle myself down a bit. The problem is, like, every corner you turn, there's a DJ or there's someone with some drums out and the crowds are going wild and you start running dead fast and then you slow down again. But yeah, so I was going well, but I got to the first water station and I downed the whole bottle. And then by the time I got to the second one, my mouth was dead dry. I was gasping. So I thought, right, I need to carry the water with me. I can't just down it at every water stop. And it was about mile 5. So I had it on my Garmin. I'd set my target, which was 3 hours 50. And it gives you like an estimated time. And it was about mile 5 and the heat was just unreal. And I knew then if I carried on targeting this pace, I wouldn't be able to hold on to it. So whether it was a mistake or not, I'd switched the screen so I couldn't see the estimated finish. And all I could see was how long I'd been running. So yeah, I felt good really. I remember seeing Cutty Sark, and we got to Tower Bridge. That was amazing. When you turn the corner to that, everybody just got excited and everyone's got their arms in the air and even the runners and they're all shouting. And I felt good then. And I knew my sister was, I think she was about 13 and a half miles. So I knew I was coming up to see my first friends and family as well. So yeah, the first half I was buzzing really.
And you'd arrange with your friends and family exactly where they were going to be throughout the course.
Pretty much. I was texting a bit whilst I was running just to make sure I knew where everybody was, but we had a rough idea where people would be.
Right.
Which
Okay.
does help to have that knowledge in your head, so because it does pick you up massively when you see them.
Yeah, it does, hugely so. And then, of course, you turn back towards Docklands, and that's a strange feeling, isn't it, when you go over the bridge and you turn right and you're heading away from the finish.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts then when you started to see other people coming towards you on the other side of the road?
Well, they're all like really skinny,
Yeah.
motoring along, aren't they? They've got like, I don't know what their paces were, like 3-hour paces, and I'm thinking, blimey, I don't know how they're doing that, but I suppose it wasn't too bad at that point. And I remember thinking, well, I've got another 2 hours of this, like because you're at the point where they're coming back. Yeah, you go over that bridge, don't you? And then is it into the Isle of Dogs? Is that?
Yeah, yeah.
So my friends before they'd said how bad the Isle of Dogs and Canary Wharf was, but due to the crowds in previous years, maybe. But I didn't actually think it was that bad this year. Like there was loads of crowds out, and yeah, I thought it was all right around there.
Yeah, I think because of the sheer volume of people this year, it was much busier than normal.
Yeah,
The more runners, better weather. So I think more people, because traditionally that's been a good place to see runners.
my friend who they brought their son down, and obviously he was in the prime. He's only 6 months old, so they were on Canary Wharf just because it's easy for them. They had a little space, like a little bit of grass, and he could play around and that. So yeah, it was easy to spot them there.
And then it starts getting very real when you heading on embankment and you're starting to see the big landmarks, aren't you?
Yeah, I think the worst part for me was coming out of Canary Wharf. I don't know if you call it a monorail or an overhead tube line or something. I remember running along that and underneath it, and I hated that bit, and it was really difficult. And then embankment, it's just one straight line, isn't it? And you
Yeah.
just know like it's such a drag.
It's a long stretch. It feels like it goes on forever, but that's when you start seeing a lot of big landmarks
Yeah,
and it starts ticking down. And at that point, I mean, that's probably the toughest place in terms of your mileage because there you're going generally beyond anything that you've trained on
yeah,
into your 21s, 22s, 23s, and that's when it really starts hurting. But then you start to get to 24, 25, and you're going to do it, don't you? And you almost get a second wind. Did you find that?
wow, I knew I was going to do it. I didn't get a second win. I'm not going to say I was cruising, but I was good for 13 miles. And then after it was 16 miles, something just went, and I put my headphones in at that point. To be fair, that helped. But yeah, I'd got to 23. I really slowed down. And my last 3 miles, they were 2.5 minute per mile slower than my starting miles.
You'd expect that. Let's talk a bit more about the headphones because I know we touched on this on the
Yeah.
last podcast. What did you do from sort of start to finish with the headphones?
Well, I didn't really, like I said to you last time, I didn't expect to need them or use them. But I mean, in reality, you didn't need them because of the music everywhere. But mile 16, it's just the heat got to me. It was really difficult. I needed something to take my mind off it. I'd got my London Marathon playlist on, so I just put them on, and I just kind of just zoned out. They really did help, to be honest.
So mainly in that last 10 miles, that's when you felt that they helped you along.
Yeah, I didn't touch them until mile 16, and then I took them out at mile 21 because I knew my sister was around 21, 22. And it's really busy around that area. So I didn't want my headphones in then to miss them shouting me. So I only had them in mile 16 to 21.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. And what about your nutrition? You said you were drinking well. And what about the gels? Did you take the gels when you planned?
Yeah, I was on point really with the gels and the water. I'd water at every station. And then obviously after the first one where I downed it, I made the water last me until the next one. So I was finished my last swig and take my new one. Didn't touch the Lucozade. And I did notice that a lot of people that you saw on the floor or had thrown up, there was a puddle of Lucozade next to them. So whether they'd practiced with it or not, I just didn't touch them. But I noticed the sticky floor in the Lucozade areas. That made me laugh because I remember you saying that can't remember you said that to me or to the team, but yeah, anywhere where there was a Lucozade stop, you was like sticking to the floor afterwards.
Just talk us through that last mile then, Big Ben onwards. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I didn't realise Big Ben was that close to the finish line, to be honest with you. And I did remember thinking, why have I not seen Big Ben yet whilst I was running around? But yeah, we got to Big Ben, and it was at that point I switched my Garmin back to have a look at my estimated finish time, and I worked out I was going to be over 4 hours, which I didn't want. But I mean, I tried to pick it up a little bit, but it wouldn't have been possible. So the main thing that got to me is obviously the weaving. It added on that much. I mean, on mine, it added on 0.4 miles. So on my watch, it's saying I've got 1 mile left. Yeah, I keep on running and running and running, and then I get to a 25-mile marker. So like I'm thinking, what's going on here? This is never going to end. And I was just plodding then, and I mean, the crowd was amazing. They could see like I was struggling, and some of my pictures, my face was grimacing on it.
I have to say, two of the pictures that I saw from you yesterday were two of the funniest pictures
Yeah,
I've seen. The grit and determination on your face.
yeah. I didn't want to stop and walk. That was it. Even if I was running at snail's pace, I just didn't want to walk. I'm proud to say I didn't. I carried on, but yeah, the crowd really gets you through that last bit.
It does, it does. But you should cling on to those two pictures, Matt, because they just sort of encapsulated a runner's battle with the marathon. They were just absolutely superb pictures, and it just showed what the heat had done to you as well, because you know you were really driving with determination at that
Yeah,
point, weren't you?
yeah.
Digging in with everything that you had.
I was just telling myself one foot after another.
Yeah, yeah. And what about that run from Buckingham Palace down to the finish line? That's quite something, isn't it?
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you can see the finish line. You know, it's coming to an end. I was starting to start crying, and then I was stopping myself. And then I remember I got to the finish line, and I was holding my top, like where the scoliosis thing was, and I started to like to break down a bit, but I managed to hold it. But then I couldn't breathe because I was, you know, like when you're crying and can't breathe. So I thought, oh my god, I'm going to have a panic attack here. But yeah, it was just I couldn't believe it when I'd finished. I was so yeah.
What about your fundraising? You know, you were comfortable throughout, really, and you picked up a fair bit in the last week as
Yeah.
well. What do you put the last? Well, just give us a quick summary of, for those that haven't heard this before. Just give us a quick summary of how you raised your money and how you pushed on in that last week and still are.
Most of the money was made by requests on social media. I quickly learned kind of people, maybe not that they're not willing, but it's hard for someone to give money when they're not going to see you do it. So I started to make videos of me running, or I'd do live videos whilst I was out running and ask for donations. So at least then people can feel like they are part of something. I've got an advantage that I work on a shift of 50 of us. So, I mean, they've raised close to 600 quid now just off my shift. So, but yeah, I'm currently, once I put the work donations on, I'm around £2,750. So I'm over the moon with that, really.
You might sneak over the 3,000 yet. You never know.
That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good. And I think the last few days of marathon week, and of course this week as well, when you can show your medal on social media, etc., it is an opportunity to raise a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, after I've finished, I've actually had quite a few from people I don't know. I want to call them randomers because it makes me kind of sound ungrateful. But yeah, they are just people that may have seen my hashtag or whatever on Insta and just donated. Yeah, so fair play to those people.
That's fantastic. That's really encouraging. So, what tips have you got for next year's scoliosis support and research runners?
Obviously, it's natural you're going to be nervous and work yourself up, but once the day hits, you can just ride the waves with the crowd. The crowd is absolutely unreal. It helps to have people to come down and watch if they can, friends and family. It really does give you a boost there. Yeah, one of the main things, like I said about the Lucozade, don't try anything new on the day. Make sure your trainers are bedded in, and every long run you do, imagine it's the marathon. Same gels, same time, same clothes, same water. Do you know what I mean? And train every long run as if it is the big day.
So, what does Matt's marathon running journey look like now? Then, what's next?
Well, I crossed the finish line and I thought never again. But yeah, I've gone and signed up for the ballot and so for next year. So obviously I did this one for scoliosis, and one of my firstborn son, Rory, he was born 9 weeks early, and he spent some time in the neonatal intensive care unit. So I've always had something there saying I'd love to do one dressed as a baby, whether it be for charity or not. Absolute minimum, there will be another marathon at some point, and because I was so close to 4 hours, I need to get under 4 hours. So maybe I'm going at that for a while. But yeah, I've got the Derby Half Marathon end of June. So I'm going to train quite hard for that. And well, I've only got 7 or 8 weeks once I've had a rest. So I'd like to PB that. Yeah. And then there's the Derby 10 mile in November, which kind of a nicer distance for me. So I'd be looking to go well there, hopefully.
Good. So you've got some targets, some interim targets, which is so important, isn't it? Because you
Yeah.
just don't want to lose that fitness.
Yeah.
It's just so important for people just to have another target in mind as soon as possible after a race like this, because the excitement and euphoria of finishing on Sunday, you just don't want to let that go.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like you've got the marathon blues. I was getting the train back on Monday, and like all me, because 5 of us from the same friendship group have done it. All our WhatsApp is talking about it, and then I'm kind of thinking, oh, it's all over. What we're going to do now? And do you know what I mean? It's been such a big part of not only my life, but the whole friendship groups that kind of taken over our personalities a bit, I think.
I think it does, Matt. I think it's such a positive experience, and just seeing London at its best with all those people cheering you on. It's the best of society, really, and you've worked so hard for it. You want to experience it again, not necessarily there, but somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of races around where you can do that kind of thing. So maybe be a big half marathon overseas in Europe or something.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to do one abroad somewhere. Yeah, definitely.
And that could be the next step. And you can still raise at whatever event you want. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Look, you've done an amazing job. Keep pushing with that fundraising. I think you can do 3K if you got that much already. Keep the training going, and I'm sure you'll be 3 something at your next marathon without a shadow of a doubt. So I really appreciate you coming on, and congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate all the help that you gave. Well, not just me, but the whole team as well. So thank you very much for that.
Great. Thanks, Matt. See you soon.
Hi, Will here from Scoliosis Support and Research. If you're looking for a great cause to run for, we'd love to have you on board. Drop me a message at fundraising@ssr.org.uk. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening to this Sapphire Running Zone podcast. Keep checking back as we have lots more podcasts coming soon.